Man, oh man, where do I begin? What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Josesito Lopez versus Andre Berto on Spike TV, debut of Premier Boxing Champs, Lights Out. I don't even know where to begin with this particular fight. Well, actually, let me start with this. If you are biased, if you have predetermined favorites, if you are racist or just like not really a boxing fan, you're not going to enjoy this video because here on my channel, what I do is I give you the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to really break this fight down, what I seen, and I'm going to be 100% truthful. Now, first of all, shout out to both warriors. They were both in the fight. They both, you could tell, wanted to win. And actually, before the fight even started, I felt bad because I like both of these guys. I mean, they seem humble enough. They seem like they had a big heart. Josesito Lopez, he bit off more than he could chew versus Canelo. We all knew it was a mismatch, but he still took the fight. True warrior. He's dealt with stuff out of the ring, like his father being in prison. Same thing with Andre Berto. He had the Victor Ortiz loss, the Robert Guerrero loss, the hurt shoulder in the fight with Jesus Soto Caras, got stopped in the 12th. So I knew whoever would lose this fight, I would feel bad because I mean, I think they're both warriors, and it sucks to see this side of boxing where this was a crossroads fight, and whoever lost this fight is going to be harder and harder to get those marquee fights. You know what I mean? They were both in desperate need with all the losses they have in recent memory. They were both in desperate need of a win. Andre Berto was able to pull it off. He did get a stoppage. Some people are going to say it's controversial. I think the only thing controversial about it is just knowing Josesito Lopez's background, knowing him as a fighter. He has heart, so you don't want to see a fighter like that not even get honored by giving him the count. So I can understand that argument. In terms of like being a sensible ref, I don't think it was controversial in that regard, just because aside from being, you know what I mean, giving him, like that would be doing him a solid basically. But he was clearly hurt. He had got dropped twice in the round. But based on the fact that Josesito Lopez has proven time and time he's a warrior, I would like to have seen him at least like fail the count or get stopped in a more conventional fashion if that was the outcome. Plus, I had him up. I think I had him a shutout. You know what I'm saying, on my scorecard. I might have gave Berto one round. I didn't do an official scorecard, but let me break down the fight. So definitely the first three rounds, Josesito Lopez show. I thought he did good, like an excellent job of the body work. There were parts where it was semi-dirty, but see, this is the thing with boxing. Sometimes fighters have these quote-unquote dirty veteran tricks, and if they're not being warned from them, they're going to keep doing them. Now, the thing that pisses me off about Berto is it's like if I was watching this fight as a video game, I would want to grab the controller and control Berto because he's gifted in terms of speed, power, athleticism, and stuff like that. But sometimes he doesn't use it, and it's so frustrating to see him. Like you could just look at both guys' frame. Josesito Lopez, more so a guy who spent time at the 140s and the lower divisions, came up to welterweight and stuff like that, went up to 154 to fight Canelo, right? But looking at Berto, he looks muscle bound, he's big, so it's frustrating to see fighters like Robert Guerrero, who jumped up two weight classes, had one fight with Selçuk Aydin, and then fought Berto at welterweight. Guys like Josesito Lopez, a career 140 pounder, and you're letting them manhandle you. So it's very frustrating. Even though Berto got the win, it's frustrating to watch him sometimes. And I'm going to talk about some of the little nuances and stuff that pet peeves of mine about Berto. That was one of them. Why would you allow guys who are naturally smaller than you to manhandle you? And it's like he wants to complain to the referee, like he's looking for the referee to jump in. The way I see it, you should pretend the ref is not even there. Just pretend that motherfucker doesn't exist until you need him, you know what I mean, to do a count if you knock your opponent down or something like that. So that is very frustrating. The other thing I tweeted is early on in the fight, Josesito, he's the worker type. If anybody's ever watched Josesito Lopez, he's a worker. What I mean by that, he stays busy. He likes to bang. He actually, in the lower divisions in his older fights, he used to box more. And then he kind of gradually became more of just like a banger. Same thing with Robert Guerrero. Robert Guerrero in the lighter divisions was more of a technical boxer with the ability to bang. And he kind of, as he grew up and went to the welterweight division, Robert Guerrero and I think Josesito Lopez, they became more brawler types which wasn't always the case for them. So anyway, when I'm watching Berto and Josesito Lopez, if you've ever watched him, he's a worker. He's going to get his work in. He's going to get his shots in. The kid has heart. You know what I mean? The kid is tough. And to see Berto do some of the like mannerisms he does, it's like everybody wants to do this Floyd Mayweather shit. And yes, I credit Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying he's the only one, but obviously the man is the #1 pound for pound. He's the biggest name in the sport of boxing. If he tweets like I'm fighting Pacquiao, it goes viral. That's what I mean. So he has most eyes and people pay attention to him currently. You know what I mean? There's history has tons of great fighters, but not everyone's going back to study tapes of people from the 50s. It just depends on the person. And what I mean by the Mayweather look is Berto does that face like where he shakes his head from left to right, like you can't hurt me, you didn't hurt me. Floyd Mayweather does that routinely. I've seen him do it with Shane Mosley, just really all of his fights. He always does that. It's like Mayweather's the master of like mind games and psychological edges and stuff. And when he walks people down like Cotto and stuff, he always does that. He'll be in the Philly shell like you can't hurt me, you can't hurt me. And I'm noticing Berto do it. He not only in this fight, he did it versus Guerrero. And the thing is, when you're fighting Guerrero, when you're fighting Josesito Lopez, they are workers. They don't give a fuck what you're doing. They're going to keep throwing. And to see, I feel like Berto, he wants to posture and pose and like look cute. And his legs look pretty stiff earlier on in the fight. So those are my biggest pet peeves it's so frustrating to watch Berto because I feel like he was super stationary. Josesito Lopez is ripping to the body, letting off 1, 2, 3, getting shots off. And Berto is just, it looks like he's just like stationary, waiting for this big, spectacular shot. That's not how boxing works. You can't wait for, oh yeah, I'm going to throw my signature money punch and it's going to be over. I mean, in this case, that it actually happened, but that shouldn't be anybody's approach. You got to let your hands go and stop all the like posturing and like, you know what I'm saying? I really felt it was almost like watching Rocky 4. You watch Rocky 4, which is a movie, keep in mind, they're not actually fighting. Whoever you think you are right now. And Rocky Balboa will get off, like, let's say, let off 4 or 5 punches, and Ivan Drago's like, like, you know what I mean, just eating 4 or 5 punches. And then it's kind of like Drago will start after, like, my turn. So Rocky would be like, Drago, and then let off 5 shots, and then all of a sudden, Ivan Drago will come back with his shots. And that's kind of how it is looking at recent Berto fights. He's like, let me let Josesito get off these 3 shots on me, 4 shots on me, and then now it's my turn. There are no turns in boxing. And when you have that type of athleticism and speed, it's very frustrating to watch. You can't just let a motherfucker take off and get the 6 shots off, and you have the ability and the speed to send a counter punch, send that in the middle, like break their rhythm. And that's what's frustrating to watch about Berto. Now, let me talk about what was good for Berto. The good side of Berto is he was able to get the victory. He got the stoppage. He finished his man. He had his man hurt. And I had started to see, I don't know if maybe the 4th, 5th round, I started to see a change. His face started to look a bit battered up. His eye, he kept winking. And then Berto was getting his timing down, which was good to see. And he was like coming back. Now, some of those rounds were still close, so that's why it's going to be quote unquote controversy, because Berto was finding his range more, but I don't know if he won all of those rounds. You know what I'm saying? So I had Josesito. I think before the stoppage, I might have gave Berto probably like 1 round, if not had Josesito as a shutout. And I think Berto just has to go back to the drawing board, take this win, and build on it and grow from it. Virgil Hunter gave some solid advice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically don't let this motherfucker, this man manhandle you. Don't let him get his shots off and just sit there and stare and shake your head. That's not doing anything for you. You know what I'm saying? Overall, it's a good fight. I really feel bad for Josesito Lopez because he's a guy, he leaves it all in the ring. I'll definitely watch his next fight. It sucks because, like I said, this was a crossroads fight for whoever the loser was going to have a harder time landing those marquee. And it's like Josesito, he's with Henry Ramirez. He doesn't have like a Freddie Roach type trainer where he's like kind of in the spotlight all the time. So it's going to be a bit tougher for him to get those big marquee fights. And it might be a situation where you got a guy who's just too tough for his own good, meaning He took on a tough fight with Victor Ortiz. Even in that fight, people always talk about the broken jaw. Look at how JOSESITO looked at the end of the fight. He was pretty battered up, and Victor Ortiz was ahead on the scorecards. People don't really mention that part. They just talk about how Victor Ortiz quit in the broken jaw, but that was a tough fight for him. And that's the thing with these warriors. Sometimes they don't care. You know what I mean? They have the heart and they'll fight everyone, and it's very commendable. But this is the adverse side. The downside is when it's over. You know what I'm saying? You lost to Maidana, you just lost to Berto and stuff like that, and got dropped. You know what I mean? In a fight you were winning. So very unfortunate. Like I said, I feel bad for JOSESITO Lopez. The crowd wasn't happy. Again, the end result wasn't, to me, highly controversial. To me, highly controversial would be the George Groves versus Carl Froch stoppage. That was like a similar situation, but I thought that was more egregious. I think JOSESITO was really pretty gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? His eye was getting worse. So I think it was more or less a matter of time. And he just got dropped twice, and it was a matter of time. He was taking some big shots. So the boxing fan side of me wants to say, like, he's a lion, give him that opportunity to beat the count. But the realness of it, a guy been through many wars, it really wasn't that controversial to me. But I would have liked to see him, you know what I mean, get counted out in a more traditional fashion, or see if he could try to mount a comeback, something like that. But let me know what you guys think. I'm going to do a separate video probably on what's next for Berto. He has some things he needs to work out, because it was solid. You got the W in the W column, but there's some things, like I said in this video, I think he really should work on, like the posturing and trying to look cutesy and stuff. You're not on the runway. It's not the catwalk. This is the fight game. It's the hurt business. Stop trying to look impressive and like fly and shit. Just do your work, because JOSESITO definitely was doing his work. Props to both warriors. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.